Instead, we have the opportunity to make a habit of empathy, to recognize ourselves in each other.
I'm Denise, and I am one of the co-organizers for New Organizing Institute's RootsCamp California. RootsCamp is an unconference where people who have been on the ground doing the work actually get to come and share their stories and their experiences so we can all learn from one another and continue to grow the community of organizers and activists. I'm really excited to be part of this. I love New Organizing Institute. I've been to a few of their conferences, and I am just super excited to see the wealth of knowledge that people here can bring to the table and what we've been able to share already this morning with just one session. So go RootsCamp.
My name is John Harris, and this is the Netroots California Conference, which is a group of progressive organizations that don't really support any particular political group. We're here to meet to discuss what happened through the last election and see if there's some better ways that we can gather as a group to organize ourselves in a more productive fashion.
I'm learning more about campaigning and what happened in the 2010 campaign and previous campaigns, and there's just a terrific group of people here today, a lot of energy and a lot of good ideas, and there's going to be a lot of innovation in the next election in 2012, so we're talking about what some of those innovations might look like.
I'm Bobby. I'm one of the co-chairs for SEIU 10 to 1. I'm also a community organizer in the Tenderloin, and I'm just here to listen to folks sort of debrief and process and think about what the next steps are after, it was a gruesome and grueling election cycle where we saw some victories and some defeats.
My name is Davey D. I'm here to see about the new strategies, share information. Obviously, some of the things that we're doing aren't working.
I'm Sandra Davis, and I'm here because I want to hear more about what worked well and what didn't during the midterm elections, and just get a chance to talk with everyone about what's happening in the future.
I'm here to find out what kind of plans we can lay for the future, for 2012 certainly, and also to hear the latest on innovation with works with volunteers, the latest data to make campaigns more effective and to make it easier to get our message out and connect with voters everywhere. The role of empathy is absolutely key, not only in running a campaign, but in representing people. When you work with a large group of volunteers who are donating their time because you have shared values, it's so important to understand that these people are doing this because they believe strongly that we can have a better government and they can be more involved, and you really need to listen to them and appreciate them as individual people, not just as kind of a volunteer army that's some sort of faceless group that's working on your behalf. So it starts at the volunteer one-on-one level, and particularly in my campaign, because I was the only candidate that actually went door-to-door talking with voters, I was very impressed by the fact that people want to express their concerns about where they live, their hopes for the future, and are so appreciative that someone will actually take the time to come to their door, ask what they think, and really make an attempt to get to know them.
Is cultivate a sense of empathy. Put yourself in other people's shoes. See the world through other people's eyes. Empathy is a quality of character that can change the world. One that makes you understand what your obligations to others are, that they extend beyond the people who look like you and act like you and laugh at the same jokes as you do and live in the same neighborhoods.
As far as empathy goes, I think that for any candidate or elected official, it's so fundamental to everything that you're doing. If you can't connect with and empathize with your constituents, the people that you represent, then you shouldn't be in office.
So thinking about the word empathy, in context of what Obama was speaking about, I think that as a community organizer, it's important to feel and understand the structures that affect the leaders that we're building. Domestic violence, gang violence, all the different things that affect children and families in the Tenderloin. I think for me, A lot of times people come with sympathy. We don't want sympathy. We want empathy, people to be able to relate to the sort of the things that people struggle through because of poverty and get to the level where you actually have solidarity. And you have to have empathy to have solidarity. You have to be able to understand each other and dialogue and respect each other.
I have often been asked why I am a Democrat and why I'm a progressive, and I firmly believe that when my neighbor does better, I do better.
Well, I mean, it's funny that Barack Obama would use the word empathy because he hasn't done that, since he's been in office, at least with the large numbers of people that I see that rose to the occasion, put him into office.
Do you feel he hasn't really been empathizing?
No. I mean, it's a disconnect. Now, it might not be him, but it's definitely the people around him. He hasn't trained them.
So I've been thinking about empathy. I am a former high school teacher, and I grew up in Atlanta, but I didn't grow up in the section of Atlanta that I taught high school in. And empathy, I don't even know how to articulate it best, but it is a very, very profound level of understanding. There's a moment of transcendence where you get to true empathy. And I think my first year of teaching, I came in with the idea that as my experience as, a black woman, not even realizing my own privilege, not realizing my own background, not realizing any of these things, coming to the community, I was fine. And I've completely shut my eyes to getting to that moment of transcendence. Simply because I came in with a level of understanding that this is like my community, I can relate, but I didn't quite know that. It was complete arrogance on my part. I did not have a true understanding of what empathy was. It wasn't until I had the opportunity to truly experience life with some of my kids, to go into the community, to interact in very profound ways, to find parallels in my life with the kids, the parents, the administrators, the teachers that I was teaching with, is when I reached that moment of transcendence. And I remember it was like one specific day with one of my children that reminded me very much of my own childhood, an experience that I had where my mother had a breakdown and her mother was experiencing exactly the same thing. And that was a moment for me that put myself emotionally in a state of being completely open to that experience, and that was a moment where I was able to get at real empathy, where I wasn't trying to interpret or being cognizant, I wasn't being arrogant, I wasn't making these incorrect assumptions, but I was really getting to a point where I was open to receiving and to learn as much as I was teaching as a teacher, and that for me has made me think about empathy and organizing and how we truly get to that. It's not just, it's ongoing, and it is experiential rather than sort of like the telling, right? We can't tell about empathy, but we experience empathy. So that's my thoughts on.
I want us to organize, to tell the personal stories that create empathy, which is the most revolutionary emotion.
See the world through other people's eyes. Empathy is a quality of character that can change the world.